throwing bricks at the police.
It's important for them to break LA. If they break LA, they can break any community in this country.
This is a complete provocation. This has nothing to do with safety. In fact, this is the exact opposite of keeping our city safe.
Los Angeles in 2025 is gradually turning the fictional scenario where the poor are swept up like criminals into reality. Los Angeles, once considered the beacon of Hollywood dreams, now reveals a paradox. Tens of thousands of people are no longer seen as victims of inequality, but as targets to be eliminated. ICE, an agency known for its role in immigration control, has stepped directly into the heart of the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. This action not only sparked controversy over policy, but also raised a deeper question. Is Los Angeles entering a new phase where homelessness is no longer just a story of poverty, but also a target of crackdowns? In today's video, we'll delve into the reality unfolding on the streets of Los Angeles. From tent cities springing up like mushrooms to large-scale ICE raids, and the stories of 70,000 homeless people you've never heard. Countdown 2 years. Permanent housing placements. More people are accessing shelters. Phrases full of hope still frequently appear in articles about homelessness in Los Angeles recently. The city government is constantly proud of these achievements, considering them proof of a turning point in a battle that was long considered unwinnable. But what if I told you those numbers might just be a distorted mirror, reflecting more than reality? Los Angeles still has over 72,308 homeless people, the second highest in the United States, second only to New York City. Indeed, programs like long-term housing, interim housing units, and the Inside Safe initiative, launched by Mayor Karen Bass, have brought a sense that the crisis is somewhat under control. But does what is called recovery truly reflect reality? Or is it merely a decline in numbers on statistical tables? Each year, Los Angeles spends up to $1 billion on programs aimed at addressing and resolving homelessness. However, when this enormous figure is weighed against the reality that only about 4%, or roughly 3,000 homeless people, actually receive support, the imbalance becomes glaringly obvious. This disparity inevitably makes residents wonder, will this money truly go to the right place for the right purpose? And are the number of homeless people actually decreasing, or is the city just trying to hide them from public view? That question still hasn't found a satisfactory answer to this day. But the truth is, what's happening right on the streets is telling a completely different story than the numbers in the report. Let's look at the reality of informal camps. Instead of shrinking, they are increasingly expanding. Just behind the new apartments renting for $3,200 a month in Koreatown, an empty lot has been transformed into a large homeless encampment. There, shacks patched together from scrap wood, tarpaulins and scrap iron stood side by side, forming a strange scrap mansion, and there was even a makeshift sports court. A nearby resident said that more than half the people in the camp are immigrants, both legal and illegal. More than just temporary shelter, this camp also poses risks of pollution, fire, and the spread of vices such as theft or the use of harmful substances. These dangers not only affect the urban landscape, but also put immense pressure on the surrounding community. And Koreatown is just one prime example. Spontaneous encampments in Van Nuys, Skid Row, or scattered right on Hollywood Boulevard are also existing like open, bleeding wounds that cannot be hidden. This all points to a significant gap between what the official statistics show and the reality out there. The cause of this situation does not stem from a single factor, but is the cumulative result of multiple overlapping crises. Rising housing costs, a shortage of affordable housing, mental health issues, and a host of other social pressures. And what the city is trying to solve is just the consequences, not the cause and root of the problem. Los Angeles may talk about a slight decrease in numbers, but the increasing number of tent encampments proves the opposite. The truth is on the streets, not in the reports. If billions of dollars still can't pull the city out of this spiral, where does the real problem lie? And will there still be room in the future for a Los Angeles without the junk mansions hidden under the glamorous light of Hollywood? What appears on the statistics only reflects the tip of the iceberg. In reality, this crisis poses a more serious threat as the homeless are increasingly becoming the new target in ICE's sweep operations, turning social unrest into a vicious cycle with no easy escape. For residents living in Los Angeles, the past summer was indeed lively, but not in a positive way. The city witnessed one of the largest immigration raids in the United States, lasting throughout the summer and leaving a pervasive sense of unease in many communities. Los Angeles is known for having the largest immigrant community in the country, comprising nearly 1/3 of the population. However, many of them are unable to access housing assistance programs due to immigration regulations or complex legal issues. Therefore, it's not hard to understand why a significant portion of the homeless population here are undocumented immigrants. Unlike homeless American citizens, who at least have some chance of being admitted to official shelters, those undocumented immigrants do not. They were forced to concentrate in large tent camps or set up tents scattered on the sidewalks, creating parallel makeshift communities right in the heart of the city. This very focus made them the most visible targets in the crackdowns. According to data from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, since June 6th, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in collaboration with Customs and Border Protection, have made 4,163 arrests in the Los Angeles area, an average of nearly 68 arrests per day across Southern California. The sweep spread every place, from markets, warehouses, and shops to residential areas, and even homeless encampments, which were already the final stop for people on the margins of society. ICE's actions, with special vehicles, weapons, and siege tactics, are no different from detectives hunting down criminals, further pushing these poor people to the brink of despair. But the goal of the sweeps didn't stop at illegal immigrants. Not a few homeless American citizens are also falsely arrested simply because they have some different characteristics or appearances. Many cases are being held in a state of ambiguity with no clear reason. A witness resident recounted, "I once saw a homeless American veteran being held for 2 days. I can't believe America could treat those who once served the country like this. That's not fair." The authorities are again encouraging the homeless to self-deport to avoid the risks of crackdowns. But for people who can barely afford 3 meals a day, where else can they go? After each raid, many people not only lose their personal documents or the few remaining possessions they have, but also lose the only thing that keeps them connected to society: the feeling that they still belong to a community. A single mother, holding her young child in her arms, burst into tears as she shared, "We're still human, not criminals, are we?" Fear doesn't just affect illegal immigrants, it also spreads to the residents living nearby. With each passing day, the city seemed to be enveloped in an atmosphere of chaos. Forced loudspeaker announcements, tear gas, unexpected scuffles, and danger lurking on every street corner. Not to mention, for many undocumented immigrants, even if they still have a roof over their heads to return to, being fired from their jobs also means losing their last source of income. In a labour market already scarce with opportunities, they easily fall into homelessness, from immigrant workers to street dwellers overnight. And so, instead of simultaneously solving 2 problems, the homelessness crisis and illegal immigration, Los Angeles sank even deeper into its own doom loop. The number of illegal immigrants has not decreased. On the contrary, they are at risk of becoming a familiar face among the 72,308 homeless people wandering the city's streets. Can a city find a way out when the solutions implemented only create a cycle of insecurity and despair? And when will the numbers in the report truly reflect the lives of the people out there, amidst the dust and tents? There's a paradox on display right on the streets of Los Angeles. Every time ICE conducts a sweep, it's expected that the city will have fewer dilapidated tent encampments. But in reality, tent cities haven't disappeared. They simply shift to other areas, silently growing and leaving behind urban scars that are difficult to erase. After each sweep, homeless communities leave the cleared area, but quickly re-establish temporary camps in new locations, an empty lot, under a bridge, or a quiet corner of the street. Coercion, therefore, is like moving water from one place to another. The flow doesn't stop, it just changes direction. As a result, the city formed areas dubbed forbidden zones, where police rarely ventured, and local residents always lived in a state of insecurity. In those places, vices, drugs, violence, and other illegal activities can easily flourish. Some streets that were once peaceful have now become mini slums, right in front of the homes of residents who have lived there for decades. Every night I walk through, I feel like I'm entering a foreign land, shared a resident. I no longer recognize this as the street I grew up on. Behind those cold numbers lies a more complex social story. Many people forced to leave during the ICE campaign have nowhere else to return to. Without housing support or income, they were forced to set up new camps, leading to consequences that the entire community had to bear. Coercion, after all, doesn't address the root cause, but merely pushes the crisis from one corner to another. Those scars are not only on the city map, but are also deeply etched in the minds of the people. A neighborhood occupied by tents, even if later cleared, still leaves behind lasting memories of unease. People fear that property values will plummet, and they worry about their children walking home through dangerous streets. And as that worry accumulates, it turns into a distrust of the government and the beautiful statistics published in the media. Some experts believe that instead of focusing on enforcement, Los Angeles needs to pursue more sustainable solutions, increasing affordable housing, expanding mental health support programs, and especially creating job opportunities for vulnerable groups. Other cities have tested similar models, including collaborations with non-profit organizations and large businesses. For example, the partnership between the government and Kaiser Permanente in building housing and healthcare systems for the homeless has shown initial effectiveness. It could be a real path forward, rather than campaigns that only leave no-go zones behind. Does Los Angeles have the courage to abandon its short-term, coercive approach and instead invest in longer-term solutions? And if these urban scars continue to spread, will the city centre itself one day become a forbidden zone that no one dares to enter? In Los Angeles, ICE sweeps are often seen as a way to clean up the streets. Special vehicles appeared, tents disappeared, and temporary statistics recorded a decline. But if we stop there, we only see the tip of the iceberg. The real roots lie deep within concrete walls and political negotiations. Housing prices and rents have skyrocketed, making it unaffordable even for working-class families with stable jobs. Urban redevelopment projects, in the name of modernity, inadvertently push thousands of low-income people to the margins. And in the back, real estate is being speculated on, with many apartments left empty just to wait for prices to rise, while tens of thousands of people have to sleep in tents. It was precisely in this context that the enforcement campaigns only exacerbated the urban wounds. ICE can remove a row of tents, but it cannot remove the cause of those tents being erected. Over the past 2 decades, housing prices and rents in Los Angeles have skyrocketed, far exceeding the average incomes of many working families. According to data from Zillow in 2025, the average rent in the city has exceeded $3,000 per month, nearly 30% higher than just 5 years ago. For a minimum wage worker, this cost is almost impossible. Thousands of families who were once stable suddenly lost their homes and fell into a cycle of homelessness simply because they could no longer afford to pay. Additionally, urban redevelopment policies over the years have inadvertently turned working-class neighborhoods into easy prey for investors. A series of old apartments are being demolished to make way for luxury projects, pushing low-income residents to the suburbs or worse, onto the streets. Many newly built apartments are even left vacant, just waiting for market value to increase. Meanwhile, Tens of thousands of people don't even have a roof over their heads. Alongside this are unresolved political conflicts. One side calls for housing first, prioritizing the provision of housing as the primary step for the homeless to rebuild their lives. The other side leans toward enforcement first, cleaning up, enforcing, and considering keeping the streets clean as the main goal. These arguments often erupt immediately after each crackdown, when temporary figures show the streets are cleaner, while in reality, the homeless communities simply shift and grow. Does the government genuinely want to solve the problem? Or do they just want to beautify the streets to build trust with real estate investors and tourists? When an empty apartment is valued at millions of dollars, while right below it is a crowded homeless encampment, the image is not just a contrast, but a testament to unresolved social contradictions. Many experts believe that instead of continuing to pour budget into enforcement campaigns, the city needs to start with sustainable solutions, expanding the affordable housing fund, reforming land laws to limit speculation, and simultaneously investing in mental health and community health support systems. Some models have shown effectiveness when there is coordination between the government and large organizations like the United Way of Greater Los Angeles, which has implemented numerous programs to help the homeless reintegrate into society. The question is whether Los Angeles has the determination to pursue those long-term solutions. Because if the root causes remain untouched, every ICE raid will only leave more scars on the city's body. New camps, new abandoned people. Can a city call itself the center of the American dream when tens of thousands of homeless people still exist amidst its glittering glass towers? And how long will it be until the numbers in the report truly reflect what's happening out there, instead of just being cleaned up calculations to appease public opinion? Los Angeles, in the days following ICE's sweep operation, is not just left with empty streets. What remains more evident is the simmering division within the community. When the tents were dismantled and the people were taken away, the questions weren't just about their fate, but also about the stark divisions within the city's own residents. A segment of the population expressed strong support for the crackdowns. They view the tent camps as the source of insecurity, as the cause of their neighborhood becoming chaotic, and believe that only by clearing them out can order be restored. For them, the image of tidy streets after ICE appeared is proof of effectiveness. However, on the other hand, many residents feel heartbroken and outraged. They don't accept seeing the poor and homeless treated like criminals. Human rights organizations, religious groups, and even many local communities took to the streets to protest. For them, coercion only increases injustice, thickening the invisible wall separating those with homes from those without. During the anti-protest demonstrations, signs were held high. Housing is a human right. On the other hand, chants demanding the return of clean streets echoed through community meetings. All of this creates a contradictory social picture. A city not only divided in terms of living space, but also divided in the hearts of its people. In that context, some experts believe that sustainable solutions lie in neither extreme. Instead of focusing solely on enforcement or relying solely on shelters, the city needs a combined model, expanding the affordable housing stock, investing in mental health and medical support, and strictly managing the camps to prevent them from becoming hotbeds of vice. Some corporations, such as Kaiser Permanente, have partnered with the government to fund the construction of permanent housing linked to healthcare for the homeless, a model that many experts consider more feasible than simply cleaning up on the surface. Will the government have the courage to pursue those comprehensive solutions? Or will it still choose the most obvious path, cleaning the streets to serve investors and tourists? And while waiting for a decision, how much more will Los Angeles have to pay for the increasingly deep rifts within its own community? In the days after ICE withdraws, the streets of Los Angeles might look cleaner. But behind that brief curtain lies a series of socio-economic consequences that are gradually becoming apparent. Enforcement, crackdowns, and temporary detentions might seem to only address the surface, but the costs incurred and the consequences left behind have plunged the city into a multi-layered domino effect that extends beyond poverty. Direct costs are only a part of the total. The indirect consequences are much more widespread. The tourism industry, which is a pillar of Los Angeles's economy, is clearly being impacted. Images of protests, clashes, special forces vehicles, and smoke bombs dominating the media make tourists hesitant. Commercial areas near tent cities or recently foreclosed properties have become sparsely populated, leading to lower revenue and forcing many small businesses to close or relocate. Property values around the tent camps also plummeted, directly impacting the assets and confidence of families still holding on in the neighborhood. The long-term consequences are even more serious. When thousands of children are homeless, going to school becomes a luxury. The increase in illiteracy opens up the risk of a generation losing opportunities from the very beginning of their lives. Public health is also threatened. Lack of sanitation, the spread of disease, and the increased medical burden that the city will be forced to pay more for in the future. Additionally, crime rates in areas with high concentrations of homeless people are often higher than average, not only due to criminal behavior, but also because the unstable environment fosters despair. Those consequences show that this is not just a single domino effect of poverty, but a multi-layered domino system. Each fallen domino brings down many other layers: economic, social, demographic, public trust. When a business leaves, dozens of workers lose their jobs. When a child drops out of school, the entire future of the family is pushed back by another generation. And when a community loses faith in the government's ability to manage, the social divide becomes even deeper and harder to heal. Some experts believe Los Angeles needs to change its approach, investing in preventative solutions rather than enforcement. Instead of spending billions of USD on crackdowns, that money could be used to build long-term housing systems, support job creation, and especially mental health care. Public-private partnerships are also offering hope, such as Kaiser Permanente's initiative, which invested hundreds of millions of dollars in a community health and housing program for the homeless. This could be a sustainable direction, rather than the cycle of forced displacement and then seeing tents pop up elsewhere. Will the city have enough determination to change course, or will it continue to waste its budget on campaigns that only clean up the surface? And when will Los Angeles dare to admit that the homelessness crisis is not a stain that can be wiped away, but a crack that is spreading within the very foundations of its society? The homelessness crisis in Los Angeles is not just a matter of numbers in reports, but a chain of economic, social, and human consequences that are eroding this city day by day. The sweeps might clear a street, but they can't clear away the unease, and they can't stop the wave of tents from continuing to spring up elsewhere. Will Los Angeles have the courage to address the root of the problem, housing, healthcare, and social justice, or will it remain trapped in a cycle of short-term enforcement? And if even the capital of the American dream can't find a solution, what future awaits other cities in this country? If you think these are stories that need to be heard by more people, please share this video, leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because only by speaking out together can we find hope for a different path. The content in this video is compiled from various public sources, reports, and eyewitness accounts. Some details may be descriptive or speculative and do not fully reflect the entire situation. The video is not intended to assign blame to any individual, organization, or agency, but rather to depict a multifaceted social landscape, encouraging viewers to reflect and discuss.